Welcome to the scorching arena of valor and the crucible of courage. This is the Forged in the Fires podcast with Fireman Rob. Here, in the inferno of life's greatest challenges, heroes are shaped and legends are born. Every episode is a torchlight of wisdom, casting a glow on the paths walked by those who've braved the flames and emerged stronger. In this furnace of fortitude, we'll explore tales of resilience, bravery, and the unyielding human spirit. Each guest brings their own spark of insight, lighting up the darkness and guiding us through the smoke of adversity. With Fireman Rob at the helm, prepared to delve into conversations that smolder with significance and stories that kindle the soul. It's not just a podcast, it's a beacon for all who seek to rise from the ashes and glow with purpose. So stoke the fires of your curiosity and ready your heart for tales of triumph and transformation. The flames are roaring. The stage is ablaze. Welcome to the Forged in the Fires podcast. Let the journey begin.
All right, welcome back to Forged in the Fires podcast. I'm your host, Fireman Rob. Today's guest, he's a veteran. He's an author. He's a journalist. He is an amazing individual who has some awesome books that we're going to get into. Definitely, Kristof Morrow. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Rob. I treasure your trust. You're kind to have me.
Hey, I want to dive into your books, but I want to dive into you first.
Yeah, of course. Okay.
Right. So I want you to come back, take me back to you're living in Texas, and you started to have these. Well, actually, let's go back to your military career. Let's do that. You served in the United States Navy as a corpsman. Tell me more about the premise behind getting into the Navy. What was it that you wanted to do when you signed up to serve?
Well, I think that a lot of people are going to sympathize with me, like your listeners at least, that I wanted to help and serve people. I wanted to be an effective intervention for, the maintenance of life and the maintenance of like happy relations, like happier relations anyway. Shakespeare. I have Tourette, so
you're totally fine. You're totally fine. So.
Shakespeare. And so for me, it's going to sound really corny, but I don't know. I was at a very formative time when Saving Private Ryan came out.
Oh, there you go.
And I saw the corpsmen on the beaches of Normandy doing their thing, and despite all of the horror and the terror and the certain death for a lot of people, the corpsmen were still doing their job.
Right.
And I thought it was extraordinary. And the notion of valor was when it was first made known to me, I think, in a way that was more is concretized. Every other iteration of valor that I had seen it was in TV shows, and something like Power Rangers and that sort of thing. It was not ground. Yeah. Right. But to know that these people, like what Spielberg was trying to demonstrate, represented like the real moments of the way we are, the way we can be.
Right. And now when you were in the military, what were some of the founding things? Because, you got out and you realized education wasn't for you, but at the same time you were you're an individual who has special gifts to be able to do things. What was it in the military that maybe transitioned into your personal life to be able to help you find that special aspects in which you're at now?
Well, I wasn't things like horrible things that happened to people weren't like unknown to me. Growing up, I had a really abusive childhood. It was really physically abusive, and so for me, while in the Navy, I lost a shipmate to. They completed suicide, and it was I think you realize I realized the very solemn nature of like what it is to live and what it is to have relationships with other people, and nothing really like that had ever happened outside of me.
Yeah.
You know, I had experienced extraordinary violence myself against me, but to be witness to it to someone who I was close with in a way that was different than any other time before. While I was writing, I realized that it helped to generate a greater understanding, a more complete understanding of suffering.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so valuable for you to be able to speak out and speak to the power of what you've been able to get through to get to where you are now. What does it mean to you to be able to kind of find that different side of you even after going through what you did during your childhood?
Well, I think I was encouraged mostly because I always wondered if I was severed from my fellow man, you know, like if I could ever truly impart or be imparted an experience that was outside of myself, or if I could ever, because growing up, like I didn't have very many friends. I had when you experience that kind of abuse, Shakespeare, it's really difficult to mature in the same way as everyone else. Yeah. Because you're so and this is substantiated, I think, by psychology. They talk about how you are developing other strengths. You know, like I'm hyper vigilant. I've never been in a car accident, for example. Okay. And it's because I'm hyper vigilant. I have avoided a lot, but I have never. Yeah, right. Yeah. So I've been able to. Yeah. So I'm very keen on my surroundings, and it's just one facet of that. But I have an extraordinary amount of anxiety, Shakespeare, and OCD that I contend with, and that in part, I like to say to describe it because of Tourette's. I like to describe the symptoms flirt with each other, and so it's
a good way to say it.
Yeah, thank you, Shakespeare, and so. Yeah, I think that's it.
No, that's a perfect way of saying it, because I mean, when a lot of people what people don't understand is like how to get past it. And I love when you talk about how your Tourette's got to a certain point where you weren't even writing a word. What was that? What was that feeling inside you? Because you know that written word. I mean, you won. What, 2 Texas Press Association awards? I mean, it wasn't like you weren't a good writer. You were a good writer. What did that take away from you?
Shakespeare. Tourette's, well, it's a number of factors, I think, in my life, variables that contributed to that sort of impotency, or impotence, I guess. It was being someone new, and I was in an entirely new country. I was in Canada for the first time. I was in a different country for the first time, and living there, Shakespeare. And I couldn't work because I didn't have legal permission to do that. Okay. So it was that, as well as Tourette's was manifesting in such a Shakespeare was manifesting in such a way that it really was injurious to me. Like I've given myself black eyes and bloody lips, and
wow.
I've hit myself in the nose so hard that I had to ice it because it was throbbing, and I punched myself in the face regularly. I gouged my own eyes out, and this is all a consequence of like the abuse. Largely, I think, because of the abuse, because I have OCD, of course, and ruminating, and on anything I've ever done, there's a compulsion for moral purity and so, like, any time I've ever violated that tenet, I think, or feel like I have, I have this pathological need to punish myself because of the way I was punished as a kid. Okay. Shakespeare.
And that
fascinating, isn't it?
It is fascinating, but I mean, from your courage to be able to continue to do what you're doing and write your books. I want to get into your books. because I think it's so powerful that, like you're saying, your spoken word is harder for you because of some of the things that you go through. But the written word, what did it mean to you to be able to write your books?
Oh my gosh. Shakespeare. I like to say that I love my work more than the sum of my love for all other things.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and Shakespeare. I started when I was in the Navy. I was given a laptop by a woman who was my best friend's mother. She bought it for me. She won a disability lawsuit against the city that she was living, that I sort of grew up in, and she wanted me to have the ability to write and play games with my friend. And she was kind of like a mom to me because I didn't have parents really. I mean, in the traditional sense, they weren't parents at all.
Right.
They were very violent. And they had my father was my father's an alcoholic. He still is, actually, to this day. I am myself also, but I've overcome that. But anyway, to be a writer, I had a lot of validation really early on. I went Shakespeare. I was, as soon as I got out of the Navy, I went to college, and I won their annual creative writing contest, both categories, poetry and short fiction.
Jeez.
And then I went to another. Yeah, which is really bizarre because they called me and they just told me I won. They didn't tell me what I won or anything, or whatever I played. So when I went up to it was funny because I had two friends with me. I went up to the thing and I said they called me up for poetry, first in poetry, and I had written the poem. Like, I found out that I could submit for both, so I wrote a poem on the fly right there and I gave it to them, and that's what I wrote it out right then. I still remember it actually, but anyway. Awesome. And I went to another college and I won their annual creative writing contest as well the next year. And then I submitted to the New Yorker, actually. And they gave me, this is quite rare, they gave me a personalized rejection letter. The editors told me that, my voice, the narrator's voice in my story was quite compelling. I was 22 when I wrote it. Shakespeare. Anyway, so I got Shakespeare. I got a job. I kept writing. For several years, but nothing of like of consequence or note really happened until I was like 27. And Shakespeare. I got a job as a reporter for a newspaper in Texas, and I won an award for, which is funny. The genesis of that award too is really funny, actually. Yeah. I had my editor told me, right? My editor told me, she said to write a feature about this guy. I had no idea what a feature was because I don't have a journalism degree. I don't have a degrry at all. I taught myself to write. So I went back to my desk and I swear to God, I read a WikiHow article on how to write a feature. Perfect. And then I realized that wasn't sufficient really. So I found a writer of like Vanity Fair, I think, and I read a feature that a writer that I respected, and I just sort of adopted that and made my own, and then I won an award for that one, and then I won an award for photography. And but Shakespeare, now that I'm Shakespeare, I'm disabled. Like Tourette's is really disabling. I have a really rare, I feel like a rare opportunity to do my work in a way that I wouldn't otherwise be Shakespeare. I wouldn't be able to do if I didn't have Tourette's, which is really curious, isn't it?
That's a different way of looking at it. Yeah.
Yeah. And people have told me that too. They're like, you're really kind of in a strange way lucky. And I'm like, yeah, I acknowledge that. It's a strange thing. Shakespeare. Yeah. But I started writing. I was told when I was 32, it was the month after my 32nd birthday, the like, those work resume places where they help you find a job and that sort of thing. Yep. They call it Shakespeare. They have that here in British Columbia in Canada, and they told me, they called me like a few months after investigating my case and trying to find me something because of given the parameters of my condition. Yeah. They told me, they said, we don't have anything. There's nothing you can do because you can injure yourself and injure others and that sort of thing. And they said, well, you like to write, maybe you should do that. Yeah. And about 10 minutes later, I started writing my book that I wrote, and
That's awesome. And The Second Son is the name of the book. There's volume 1, volume 2. Tell me more about the writing process. Did it just all come out in the beginning, or was it like you wrote some and then you had to go back and kind of change it to what you really wanted it to be? Was it a smooth process for you?
Oh my goodness! You know what? I think that anyone that has successfully completed a novel, I think will say the same thing, which is, especially work of fiction, you have to do it. It's very crude process at first. It's not very deliberate.
Yeah.
And so it's a shaky construction. The work that you're doing is, in fact, you don't write prose. Like, you don't write any, like, you don't describe the way people feel. You don't describe anything. Like, you just say, it's almost like a movie script. Like, the person walks in, dialogue, person leaves, this person did this, and then you do that. And Jordan Peele, writer of Get Out and director of Get Out, and a bunch of other, he's got one coming out, like Monkey Man, I think.
Oh man.
Anyway, he's a strange. He's a very lovely guy. His work is anyway. And he said that writing the first draft is like putting sand into a sandbox so you can make sandcastles with it later, which is true.
Oh wow, so true.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So when you're done, I had to rewrite the entire book. I wrote it 162,000 words, the first draft, which is, for anyone that doesn't know, The Hobbit's 98,000 words. So plenty of people have read that. So 162,000 is a hefty book. It's almost as long as The Fellowship of the Ring, and I had to rewrite the entire book. Like, there's a poem at the very beginning of the book that remained the same. Everything else was completely changed.
Wow.
Like, in terms of, like, not in terms of the plot or anything. I just had to rewrite it in a way that was, I felt communicated something profound and worthwhile.
Did your Tourette's at any point during your writing, did it affect how you wrote, or did it affect like what you were writing?
I would imagine that it did. I think at some points that Shakespeare, because I hurt myself a lot. Yeah. And so for me, it's there's a number of things that I'm privileged to not experience, and being marginalized from society is now something that I do experience a little bit because of Shakespeare. Because I scare people. Sometimes I scream and in public, and I have to explain myself. It's a concern, like when I'm in the U.S., because people have guns in there. I have to worry about that a little bit.
Right.
Because I could startle people. I startle people all the time. Yeah. So it's scary. I know about the theft of agency, I think, in a way that's much more intimate than most people.
So I love how when you wrote, let me go into this more. When you wrote this and you got it to the end and you got to the point where you're like, this is what I wanted. How did it feel for you to get that the complete feeling of I've accomplished this, even though I have some struggles, even though I have challenges, I completed this and now it's alive. How did that feel?
It's a bit like it's a stairwell, I think, of pride. It's like you ascend, right? And I want, for example, the minimum word count for a novel is 50,000 words. When I hit the 50,000 word mark, I was like, I wrote a book. Even if the book wasn't finished, I've written a book now. I've written a book that's at least 50,000 words. And then as I advanced, up that, I realized, I was experiencing pride for different things, and the amount of work I was doing. Sometimes, often I do at least 1,500 words a day.
Oh wow! And
I still do over 1,000. And I have to write like really dense prose now. Like before I started here at noon, from noon until about 1:45, I wrote like 440 words.
Wow.
And so, which is nothing, it's a page and a half. But anyway, it's
still you're every single day you're doing this. That's got to be. Is it cathartic to you?
Oh, I think Shakespeare. It is one of the. It's really lovely because I don't have control really over my body.
Okay.
I am able to exercise control over a world People really, I have very, very lovely messages from so many people that have told me that like my book changed their life. That one person actually told me it put them in therapy. Shakespeare, just a number of really flattering and lovely things that really made me appreciate more deeply, I think, the reader's relationship to the books. I didn't think about like the ramifications of someone experiencing a great deal more confidence because they read a book and they were inspired by a character to do a certain thing, and often the testimony of my life, I think contributes to that too. Having Tourette's and abuse and all that stuff.
Yeah, and to be able to have this goal and complete it. I love what you're doing, man. Make sure you go. You can find it on Amazon. The Second Son, Volume 1, Volume 2. You have a Kindle, you have a hard copy, you have all the good stuff. Make sure you go there and purchase one of those great copies. I always end my podcast the same way with 3 questions. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
All right. This is going to be a tough one for you, but if you go back to your 18-year-old self, what's the one piece of advice that you give yourself? Yeah, it's going to be a tough one.
I would say something that I wrote in my book.
Yeah.
Which is that in this, because of the moral purity thing I struggle with, that justice and redemption are folly, but to seek them is not.
Huh. That's awesome. I love that. Yeah. That's a perfect statement. That's a perfect statement for anybody to think about. I love that. All right. So here's the second question. If you could give people 2 habits that they could put into their daily lives to incorporate into living in a forward direction, living that life that they want to live, what would those 2 things be?
I think the number one thing is to surround yourself with people that encourage you.
Yeah.
To do things that make you happy.
Love that.
And the other thing is to submit or surrender to that need to do things that make you happy.
Oh, I love those 2.
Yeah.
It's so true, and it's so simple, but at the same point, people don't know how to do that.
No.
Yeah. All right. The last question. Here it is. If you could have coffee at a firehouse table, which means you can ask any question you want to ask, and it's going to be answered, with 3 people that can be deceased or alive, who are those 3 people going to be having coffee with you?
Number 1 would, of course, be William Shakespeare.
Okay.
Number 2 would be, I think, Abraham Lincoln.
That's a good one.
And the third one, what I think would be Marie Curie.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, she's brilliant. She's the only person to win a Nobel Prize in 2 different fields of science.
She's that's not a bad accomplishment, right? Madame Curie.
No.
I love it. Well, make sure you go to Amazon and purchase the book. It has been such an honor to have you on today.
Thank you, Rob. Shakespeare, I really appreciate it. This was lovely.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening and supporting the Forged in the Fires podcast with Fireman Rob. Remember, don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast. And please share this episode with a friend or family member. To find out more about Fireman Rob, or if you have a question, go to www.firemanrob.com. Until next time, live your life forged in the fires.